Have you ever had a moment that completely surprised you, where something simple turned into something unforgettable? It was an ordinary evening, but what my son did that night turned everything upside down. Stick around till the end to find out how this unexpected moment made me realize something deeply important about love and family. It was one of those long days where everything felt heavy. I had been running around all day, juggling a million things at once, household chores, errands, and all the little tasks that seemed never ending. My body ached from head to toe, the kind of ache that made me feel like I had been carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I collapsed onto the couch, feeling the exhaustion take over. My muscles were tight, especially in my back. I could barely sit up straight without feeling the strain. I rubbed my lower back, trying to ease the tension, but it wasn't helping. It was one of those days where I just wanted to relax, to stop thinking for a while, but there was too much to do. As I sat there, feeling the weight of the day settle over me, I heard a soft voice from behind. It was my son. "Mum, can I give you a back massage?" I froze for a second. He wasn't the type to offer help like this. My son was always full of energy, running around and busy with his own life. Whether it was school, friends, or his hobbies, he hardly ever paid attention to things like my aches or the long hours I spent taking care of everything. So to hear him offer to help me like this was completely unexpected. At first, I didn't know how to respond. I felt a mix of surprise and appreciation. I wasn't used to being on the receiving end of care like this, especially from my son. But something in his voice told me he genuinely wanted to help. "Sure, if you want to," I said, a little unsure but grateful for the thought. It wasn't often that he would offer something so selfless. He smiled and walked over to where I was sitting. His hands were warm as they gently rested on my back. There was something so simple yet incredibly comforting about his gesture. It wasn't just about the massage, it was about the care, the kindness he was offering without any hesitation. I closed my eyes, allowing myself to sink deeper into the moment. It felt good just to let go for a minute, to stop being the one who was always taking care of everything. I was used to being the one who did the caring, the protecting, the fixing. But in that moment, I was the one being cared for. It felt strange, but also incredibly soothing. As his hands started to move, I could feel the weight of the day start to melt away, little by little. The tension that had been building in my back seemed to ease with each gentle movement. It wasn't just physical relief, it was emotional too. I realized how much I had been carrying, not just in my body but in my heart as well. His touch was careful, yet full of intention. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't a quick fix. He was taking his time, making sure every part of my back was given attention. I felt a deep appreciation for this moment, for his quiet way of showing he cared. I thought about how much he had grown over the years. This wasn't the little boy who used to crawl into my lap asking for comfort. No, he had turned into someone who could give comfort, someone who could understand when I needed a break. It hit me just how much he had matured, how much he had learned without me even realizing it. In those first few moments, as his hands worked over my sore muscles, I felt a strange sense of calm. I didn't need to talk or explain anything. It was enough just to be here, together, in this unexpected moment of connection. And that's when I realized this simple, quiet act of kindness was more meaningful than I could have imagined. It wasn't just a massage, it was a gift. A reminder that love isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it shows up in the quiet, gentle moments when you least expect it. As my son's hands began to press more firmly into my back, I couldn't help but notice the difference in the pressure. At first, I had expected a light, gentle massage, something soft to ease the tension. But his touch quickly grew stronger, more assertive. It wasn't just comforting, it was powerful. The pressure started to dig deeper into the knots that had formed in my muscles. Instead of feeling tender and light, his touch felt almost rock hard in some areas. It wasn't painful, but it was intense, a steady force pressing into my back with purpose. The kind of pressure you wouldn't expect from a young person who had never given a massage before. I was surprised. My son's hands weren't the delicate hands of a child anymore. They were strong, muscular even. Over the years, he had grown taller, stronger, and his hands now reflected the physical strength he had developed from playing sports, hiking, and the many activities he enjoyed. It was hard to imagine that the little boy who once needed me for everything was now the one helping me. As his hands continued to move over my back, I couldn't help but think about the times when I had been the one to offer comfort. I had spent years caring for him, making sure he had everything he needed, always the one to help him through difficult moments, physically and emotionally. And now, here he was, doing the same for me, without a second thought. His touch was steady, and I could feel the weight of my own exhaustion starting to slip away. Each press, each firm movement seemed to push the tension out of my body bit by bit. I began to realize just how much I had been holding in. It wasn't just my physical pain I was releasing, it was all the mental and emotional strain of the day that had been building up for weeks. I had become so used to being the one in control, the one who took care of everything. But in this moment, I was letting go. I was allowing him to take over, to help me. It wasn't easy. I had always prided myself on being independent, on not asking for help. But there was something in the way he was touching me, something in his quiet confidence that made it okay to let go. With every push, every firm stroke of his hands, I could feel myself sinking into the couch, letting the tightness in my body slowly release. The massage was more than just a way to ease my back pain. It was a reminder that I wasn't alone, that I didn't have to carry the weight of the world by myself. My son was here, offering his strength when I needed it the most. As I relaxed deeper into the moment, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of pride. This wasn't just about the physical relief. It was about the fact that he had grown into someone who could offer that relief. Someone who was strong enough, not just physically but emotionally, to show up for me when I needed him. It was a reminder that strength doesn't always come from brute force. Sometimes it's the quiet strength that shows up when we least expect it. In this moment, my son's strength wasn't just in his hands, it was in his willingness to care for me without hesitation, in his quiet, powerful way of showing love. And that made me feel something deeper than just relief. It made me realize that I had raised a young man who not only could take care of himself, but who also cared enough to take care of me. It was a gift I hadn't expected, and one that left me feeling more connected to him than ever before. As my son's hands continued their steady pressure, I began to notice something deeper happening within me. It wasn't just my body that was relaxing. It felt as though my entire mind was letting go of all the tension I had been holding onto. The worries, the stress, the constant running from one thing to the next, all of it seemed to melt away with each press of his strong yet gentle hands. For the first time that evening, I wasn't thinking about everything I still had to do. I wasn't thinking about the dishes piling up, the laundry waiting to be folded, or the list of tasks that seemed endless. All I could focus on was the warmth of his hands on my back, the way his touch felt both firm and tender at the same time. I had always been the one to carry the load. I had always been the one to make sure everything was taken care of. to manage the household, to fix the problems. But in that moment, I realized just how much I had been carrying. It wasn't just the physical weight of chores or responsibilities. It was the emotional weight too, the weight of expectations, of constantly trying to meet everyone's needs, of putting myself last. As his hands moved with purpose, working out the knots in my back, I could feel that emotional weight lifting as well. Each press seemed to release more than just muscle tension. It felt like a release of the strain I had been carrying in my heart. It was as if I had been holding my breath for so long, and now I could finally exhale. I started to realize how often I had been putting everyone else first, without ever asking for anything in return. As a mother, it felt natural to take care of everyone else, to give and give without hesitation. But in this quiet moment, my son was the one giving, and for the first time in a long time, I was the one receiving, not just physically but emotionally as well. It wasn't easy for me to let go. I had always prided myself on being independent, on being the one who could handle everything without needing help. But there was something in the way my son was massaging my back, something in the way his touch felt both caring and strong, that made me realize I didn't have to do it all on my own. It was a humbling feeling. It made me realize that love and support don't always come in grand gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes the most meaningful acts are the quiet, simple ones, like the way my son was caring for me in that moment. It wasn't just about the physical relief. It was about the emotional connection, the way he was showing me that he was there, not just as my child, but as someone who could offer strength and comfort when I needed it most. In that moment, I realized that love is often unspoken. It's in the small, everyday actions that speak louder than any words could. It's in the quiet acts of care that show us just how much someone means to us. I had always known my son loved me, but the way he was showing it now was something different. It was a quiet strength, an unexpected gift that I hadn't even realized I needed. And as his hands worked their magic, I found myself not just relaxing physically, but emotionally as well. I was letting go of the weight I had carried for so long, and in its place, I felt a deep sense of peace. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe deeply again. And it was all because of the quiet love my son had given me in this small, unexpected moment. It wasn't just about the massage. It was about the connection we shared, the way he was quietly offering me the care and strength I had always given to him. And that, in itself, was more healing than I could have ever imagined. As my son's hands continued to work on my back, I closed my eyes, letting the warmth of his touch settle deeper into my muscles. With every press, every movement, I felt a greater sense of peace. But it wasn't just the physical relief that caught my attention. It was the emotional realization that began to unfold inside me. I had spent so many years being the one who was always giving, the one who was expected to do everything, to be the rock for everyone else. Whether it was taking care of the house, managing responsibilities, or making sure my family was okay, I had always carried the weight. I had prided myself on being strong, self-sufficient, and able to handle it all. But here I was, lying on the couch, allowing my son to care for me. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me. All these years, I had been the one offering comfort, love, and support. And now, my son was doing the same for me. It was a humbling realization. How had I not noticed this shift before? As I lay there, reflecting on the years I had spent raising him, I realized that he hadn't just learned the basics of life from me. He had learned how to love, how to give. He had learned not just how to take care of himself, but how to take care of others. He was no longer that little boy who relied on me for everything. He had grown into someone who understood the importance of showing up for others, just as I had always shown up for him. The love that was being expressed in that quiet moment wasn't loud, and it wasn't grand. It wasn't about big gestures or elaborate actions. It was about him being there for me, offering his strength when I needed it most. He didn't have to say anything. His hands, firm yet gentle, spoke volumes more than any words ever could, and it made me realize something profound. Love doesn't always need to be verbal. It doesn't need to be declared loudly for everyone to hear. Sometimes love is quiet. It's in the small things, the unexpected moments that show us we are cared for. It's in the silent ways we show up for each other when the world feels heavy, when we are vulnerable. In that moment, I understood that my son wasn't just giving me a massage. He was offering me something far deeper. He was showing me the depth of his love in the most simple, unspoken way. It wasn't about the action itself. It was about the thought behind it, the way he had recognized that I needed help and was there for me, without question or hesitation. It was a reminder that love evolves. It isn't just about being the caretaker, it's about learning how to care for others in return. My son had learned that lesson well, and as much as I had spent years teaching him how to live, how to love, and how to be strong, he had now shown me that he had taken those lessons to heart in a way I hadn't expected. There, in that simple moment, I realized how much I had underestimated him over the years. I had always seen him as my child, the one I had to protect and guide. But in this quiet act of care, I saw that he was no longer just my son. He was a young man, capable of offering support, strength, and love. And for the first time I realized that the roles had shifted. It wasn't just about my son growing up. It was about us, as a family, growing together. He had learned from me, and now I was learning from him. Love wasn't just something I gave. It was something we both gave to each other. And in that moment, I felt more connected to him than ever before. Love is never one-sided. It is a constant exchange, a shared experience. And in the quietest of moments, my son had shown me that this exchange of love had come full circle. As my son's hands continued their gentle but firm motions, I felt the last of the tension slip away. The physical pain, the emotional weight I'd been carrying, all started to fade into the background. It was as if time itself had slowed down. In this quiet, simple moment, everything that had been pulling at me all day, all week, was suddenly distant. I let out a deep breath, my body sinking further into the couch, a peaceful sense of calm taking over. For so long, I had been the one to care for everyone, my family, my friends, always putting their needs above my own. It felt natural to do so. It was my role, my responsibility, and I wore it with pride. But now, as I lay there, I realized that sometimes it's okay to let someone else take the lead. It's okay to let go, to lean on someone else. I had spent so many years focused on what I had to do for others that I had forgotten what it felt like to just receive. I opened my eyes slowly, meeting my son's gaze. He was focused, calm, and determined. I saw the care in his eyes, the same care I had always tried to show him. In that moment, I understood something that hadn't fully clicked before. The love we share as a family isn't one-sided. It's a constant ebb and flow, a circle of support, respect, and tenderness. As much as I had poured love into him over the years, he was now giving that same love back to me in his own way. It wasn't about the physical act of massaging my back. It was about what that gesture represented. It was his way of showing me that he understood me. that he recognized my struggles and wanted to make them easier. And as he worked, his hands moved not just with strength, but with something deeper, a love that transcended words, a quiet, powerful bond between us. I felt a surge of gratitude for my son. I realized how much he had grown, how much he had become someone I could rely on, not just as a child, but as an equal. My heart swelled with pride and love, a feeling I hadn't expected to feel so intensely in this moment. It wasn't just about him helping me with a simple massage. It was about him becoming a man who knew how to care, to offer his strength when it was needed most. This was a full circle. I had spent so many years taking care of him, guiding him, teaching him everything I knew about love, responsibility, and life. But now I was learning something too, how to let others care for me, how to accept love, and how to cherish the quiet moments that often go unnoticed. As the massage finally came to an end, I felt lighter, physically, mentally, and emotionally. My son's hands left my back, but the warmth of his care remained. I sat up, stretching and feeling the relief wash over me. I turned to him, a smile tugging at my lips. He smiled back, that same quiet pride in his eyes. "Thank you," I said softly. That was exactly what I needed. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His eyes told me everything I needed to know. He was happy to help, happy to care, happy to be there when I needed him. And in that moment, I understood that the love between us had always been a two-way street. I wasn't just the caretaker, I wasn't just the provider. I was someone who deserved to be cared for too. We sat together in silence for a few moments, just soaking in the peaceful quiet of the evening. It was a simple moment, but it was one I would hold on to. It reminded me of something important. No matter how old our children get, no matter how much they grow, they will always be there for us. And in turn, we will always be there for them. That's what family is all about. It's not about who does more or who gives more. It's about being there for each other, lifting each other up, and sharing in the quiet moments of connection. I had learned something today. Love, care, and strength are not one-sided. They are shared, given, and received. And as I looked at my son, I felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that no matter what, we would always be there for each other, in the big moments and the small ones, just like this one. Thank you for watching. Remember, sometimes the simplest moments are the most meaningful.